the topic of grit came up, and you had some interesting takes on it. And specifically, one of the things you said was almost like don't get lost in grit is a good thing.
Well, I think in the world of hustle porn these days, in the entrepreneur world, I think you can get yourself. It's a double-edged sword. What I mean by that is, and this is what I gave as my best advice that somebody ever gave me when we did our team.
Hard work.
Robin.
You said hard work.
Hard work will not get you what you want. It is cost of entry, but there are so many other things that are required outside of hard work in order to be successful at stuff. The graveyard of entrepreneurs is riddled with people that worked very hard and never got anything, and never got any amount of success. So I think that is uniquely relevant to CrossFitters because we do like the idea of hard work, right? We like to, do grinding workouts. We like to do the diesel days. We like to do the marathons, all of that stuff that is physically challenging. And most of us are far less equipped to do the things that are intellectually challenging or emotionally challenging. And I think we can fool ourselves into thinking that, hey, I'm working really hard, so this is going to work out. It's like, likely not. If you only work hard, it is likely not going to work out for you.
Well, because one easy thing is like, cool, you're working hard on the wrong things.
On the wrong thing, right? Or
like if you bring up Diesel Day, which is an easy one, it's cool. Like you're working hard holding this weight, but you're not moving.
Right.
Like, cool, you're not accumulating anything.
Yeah. So I think it's just, and I've shared this before in previous podcasts, but like ask yourself, like, what if this thing was easy? Right. So again, hard work is cost of entry as an entrepreneur. You must work hard. Like I've never met an entrepreneur that at any level of his success that is not a freakishly hard worker. But that has a ceiling on it. Like at some point, there's no amount of grind that is going to fix that problem, create that solution, or uncover whatever enigma that it is that you are dealing with. So it has to be a combination. Like you must work hard. You also must work really smart. You also need to have really good relationships. You need more than just working hard. So I always try to ask myself, I'm like, okay, if I am a hard worker, what if this was easy? And what if I could work really hard on something that was easy? The outcome would be exponential in that sense. So I think being really careful about, hey, well, like I like to work hard. And I'm like, cool, you should. You're an entrepreneur. Like that should not be the thing that drains you is hard work. You got to work smarter. You have to figure out what the actual problem is. And then if you need to either bring in somebody that has those skill sets or worst case, you need to work and go develop those skill sets yourself. Now you can work smarter.
So what's somewhere in business you've felt that? What's somewhere where you're like, I grind and that's what I do, but then you're like, oh, should actually be easy.
Like a tangible or just like...
Yeah, like you like actually, because you've done that for many,
I've done it for many.
I mean, that was a Mark England and Lifted, right? Like, what if it were easy?
What if it were easy? And I was fooling myself that just long hours, doing all the things was...
Like many box owners.
Right, was what distinguished me as better from somebody else, which is like, hey, if I can deal with more pain, that somehow makes me better.
And I mean, the problem is to some extent you get rewarded for that, right? Like, yeah, if you're willing to work...
It's a false reward.
Right.
It's a reward in the moment, which is I overcame...
But also, other affiliate owners aren't, or other entrepreneurs aren't, so you will pass them.
Well, what does pass them mean?
They may stop.
Maybe they go out of business,
right.
But like it still is not moving me towards my goal. It's just like I'm just working really hard. And until I kind of learned, hey, yeah, you got to work really hard, but then you got to work smart and you got to figure out what is the actual root cause of this problem. And then once you identify that, define it. And then you got to work really hard on developing the process to fix that. And then you got to work really hard on building the accountability on top of that. And you got to work really hard at developing your staff so that they do it the way that you want to. And then you got to work really hard to bring in somebody to replace you to do all of those things. There will always be hard work, right? There's never going to be any shortage of hard work in there. But are you working smarter and are you working more efficiently so that you can maximize your hard work, right? It's that question of like, what if it was easy and I was working hard on it? The speed would be so much faster. So look for that version. I was thinking about you the other day. Like somebody brought this up as like, I forget. There was a CEO who was talking about, hey, you need this. People will get this. You need lazy people on your team.
Why are you thinking about me?
Because, right?
That?
And then,
other than the obvious reasons.
right. So, but here's why. And you and I have had many conversations about this. Where
I sent you a picture. I said sea lion is my spirit.
spirit animal. But you need lazy people on your team, because if you have just a bunch of people that just love putting their face onto the grindstone, all you will have is a bunch of scuffed faces. Versus you have somebody who's just like, hey, I'm just going to do this the easy way. And you and I are very different. Like I would. And I've come to acknowledge that. I'm like, I would prefer to just do it the hard way. And you're like, that's dumb. I don't want to work that hard. I want to do it this way. And then I now look at that and said, there's probably something to what Jay's looking at, which is like, it's not necessary to put that much effort into that thing. There's an easier way. And then marrying those two ideas. So I think
yes, I do think there's often a middle ground.
No, I think the answer is absolute the middle ground, because the easy way misses a lot of things. The hard way is too many things that are unnecessary.
And unnecessary and you see all the obstacles too.
You see all the obstacles, or it's harder to push through. It takes longer than it needs to. It needs more people than it should.
Well, it's the whole premise of when I tell people like just hit record. Like that is the easy way.
Right.
Right. And you're like,
should we never refine it? Should we not come up with a better version simply because that, like we had the conversation recently where you were like, well, this is easy. I'm like, we're not looking for the easy way, meaning like that is the easy way. We're looking for the better way, which might be slightly harder than the easy way. So I think that is a framework that I constantly look at now, and you're not really forced to do that until you move to a new level where there's more moving parts.
Yeah, you can continue to grind and not make things easy when you're maybe a solopreneur and you have like one major goal. And
well, listen, that scenario right there, that's required. If you are a solopreneur, guess what? You have lots of hard work and grinding in your future. But it should not always be like that. You should be able to incrementally find levels of efficiency inside of that where I don't have to do that anymore. I don't have to do this anymore. I don't have to do that anymore. Like all of those things are real.
Love it. Well, if you enjoyed that, we just put up an episode all about imposter syndrome. Go ahead and click that. Let us know what you think.